abduct. So your third finger has abductors on both sides. So technically your dorsal, you abduct your third finger to the left or to the right. And added into this is your abductor digiti minimi. You don't have a dorsal interossei out here, but you have an abductor digiti minimi that does the same thing as a dorsal interossei, which is that. So dorsal interossei fan your fingers. So you're usually in a pronated position. I think I made a mistake last class, and I think I might have done it like this. Again, that doesn't really impact your test, okay? If I did it like this, that might impact your test because you're maybe going against gravity. But if you do this or this, that doesn't really impact your test, all right? However, most people find this more comfortable. It's just more comfortable to set like this than like that. So commonly, we're going to put them in a pronated position, and basically they're just going to spread their fingers apart. And all I'm going to do, that gets them a 3. So all I'm going to do is take my fingers, and in pairs, I'm going to try to bring your finger together. Don't let me bring it together. Don't let me bring it together. Don't let me bring it together. And then, so it's mostly dorsal interossei until I get over here, and then it would be the dorsal interossei of the ring finger and the abductor digiti minimi of the 5th finger. All right? Technically, there's not a lot of difference between 3 and 2 here. We don't. This is really gravity eliminated already. So 2 would be some kind of partial range of motion. I can't slide my fingers apart as far as I can on the other side. Okay? 1, we only have the ability to really palpate the abductor digiti minimi right out here in the 5th dorsal compartment, and we only in the 1st right in this area. So if she were to resist, I can feel that kind of pop into my finger right there, right? So we have a hard time testing the other 3 or palpating the other 3. So really palpation-wise, index finger and little finger are our best options to palpate, okay? Palmar interossei does the exact opposite. So instead of bringing apart, they come together. We don't have one on the 3rd finger. The 3rd finger basically just stays there, all right? So in this case, I have her bring them apart and then bring them together, and if she can bring them together, that's a sign that she has at least a 3. Same story on 2. Very hard to palpate these, so we don't palpate. The idea here is to spread their fingers apart. So you're bringing them together. I'm trying to separate them apart, okay? Separate them apart, separate them apart. Commonly, you'll see people do this with what's called a paper test. So I'll have her take her fingers and pinch the paper, and I'm just trying to pull the paper out. That would be how you would kind of exercise it as well. So it's kind of basically an isometric. Squeeze down, don't let me pull it apart. Squeeze down, don't let me pull it apart. Or don't let me pull the paper out, okay? So that's palmar interossei, all right? So dorsal interossei are abductors, palmar interossei are adductors, all right? Let's do one thumb exercise here. We'll do the flexors. So we're going to go in this position. So flexor is going to do this, right? We're talking about the MP joint. Again, brevis is an MP flexor, keeping the thumb relatively straight. So I'm looking to do that, all right? Longus is a IP flexor. So I'm looking more to do that. All right, so again, to get a 3, and again, this is where that 2 kind of gets very fuzzy. We're not going to take it out of gravity, so it's either partial range of motion would maybe get you a 2. But if I can kind of bring down and across, that gets me a 3. I'm going to stabilize, and then I'm going to push again, not at the tip, but kind of in the middle, and I'm going to pull up apart. Now, this is a strong muscle, right? This one should be pretty good strength. The longest is going to be more kind of bending at your tip. So bend your finger down at your tip, and I'm pulling away there. Longest, easy to palpate, because it's going to be the only tendon that pops up between the IP and the MP joint. Brevis is a little bit harder to palpate, and you're really more palpating an area. It's down more in the thenar eminence. Sometimes, go ahead and bend your thumb, you can kind of, if I give her resistance on the longest, I can find that tendon as it comes down into the thenar eminence. If I'm on that tendon and I come off just ulnarly, that's the brevis. I'm not really able to differentiate anything there. I just know if I'm on the longus and I come off ulnarly, that's the brevis in the thenar eminence area, okay? So palpation is a little like you're palpating an area more than a high. Clearly feel that this is the brevis because of its well-defined shape or anything like that. You're just in an area. All right? So let's do